This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew Podcast, brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis, and wow. I have to say thank you all, to everyone that tuned into last week's episode with, all the WWE superstars that I had the opportunity to interview during WrestleMania week, with the press junket, and also with the volunteer event that I did with Be a Star and the Boys and Girls Club. I have to be honest with you. I uploaded all of those interviews individually. There are 12 videos. As of right now, they're about close to 30,000 views amongst all 12 of them. Thank you guys. For those that subscribe to my new subscribers to my YouTube channel, again, thank you very much. Again, you can look me up, Derrick T. Lewis or The Real DT Lew on YouTube, and you can hit the subscribe button where you can see, a lot of the interviews I did, in addition to my actor, stuff that I did in film and television, as well as my music videos. So definitely check those out. Well, this past weekend, like I said, was a rare weekend where I had no work to do. Literally, I had no work to do. So, of course, Saturday night, hung out with my best friend and his fiance. We had an incredible dinner, just catching up and everything. It was nice to just get out and just chill. It was amazing to hang out with my boy and, like I said, his fiance, his amazing fiance. And Sunday, I actually went to Baltimore to check out my New York Yankees play the Baltimore Orioles, and Aaron Judge smacked two home runs. The Yankees won 5-3. So, I'm glad that we kept Aaron Judge and paid him the money that he's deserving of. And I'm just hoping that this is the year for the New York Yankees that they can win, championship number 28, because it has been far too long since the Yankees have played in a World Series, let alone win one. The last time we were there, 2009. Unbelievable. Well, this week's episode, I have recording artist Cris Cray, out of Florida, and he and I met, through my people over at Radio Pushers at our music conference in Miami. So we had the opportunity to meet and get to know each other, and during our interview, he talked about a lot about spirituality and his music, positivity, and what he's doing to take it to the next level. And again, it's a really insightful interview. I hope you all enjoy it. And let's not wait any longer. My interview with Cris Cray starts right now. Well, I'm here right now with recording artist Cris Cray out of Stuart, Florida. Cris Cray, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Derrick.
Appreciate you. Well, let's hop right into it, man. I mentioned you were from Stuart, Florida. So tell me about Cris Cray and growing up in Stuart, Florida.
So a lot of my like actual upbringing, I was born in Stewart Martin Memorial Hospital. That's because in Port St. Lucie at the time there was no hospital. So
Oh, I
for
see.
anybody that was being born in the Port St. Lucie area, they were generally being born in Martin Memorial. So I ended
Got it.
up in the Stewart area being born. Most of my upbringing was in the Port St. Lucie 772 area. However, I did religiously go back and forth because my grandparents lived in Stewart.
Oh, I see.
So I was brought up in Stewart a lot by them. I had a lot of friends in that area. I never went to school in that area. All of my schooling was generally in the St. Lucie County, Fort Pierce area.
Oh, wow. So you were kind of all, it was pretty much in that general area, though, as far as geographically?
Correct. I pretty much had a little bit of the best of both worlds, if you will, from both the Stewart and St. Lucie County, Fort Pierce areas.
All right. So music, obviously, music's consumed you most of your life. So how did, Cris Cray and music kind of, mesh, right when you were young?
At a young age, I was dealing with my parents early, going through divorce right around age 9. And that drove me to really need a place to get away from all of the craziness that was going on in my household. And I can honestly say that, hip hop was my fortitude. Hip hop was my sanctum that I would go for not just safety, but for happiness or for warmth and love. And it's weird because I found a lot of my favorite tracks from the earlier songs like Tupac's Hail Mary. And then Biggie's, a lot of Biggie's anthems that he had, like the 10 Crack Commandments. And there's just
Mm-hmm.
so much story and passion that went into all the music they made that when I make my music, I generally try to give that same love, that same passion, and that same story. So they had so much to do with what I'm doing now with my current hip hop style.
Wow, wow. So you mentioned two legends, Biggie and Tupac Shakur. So what was it about them though? Music aside, that drew you to them? What was it about them that really drew you into say was it a music video? Was it something you heard on the radio? Tell me a little bit about tell me a little more about that.
I liked a lot of what he spoke on as a really putting women in a good spotlight and
Mm-hmm.
showing love to his own mother. And a lot of that for me, I was taken care of by my mom a lot during my earlier years around that time during the divorce. So as opposed to being with my dad, I was with my mom. And when that time, during that time, that's a lot of what she listened to. She listened to 50 Cent, she listened to Biggie. So me being, I would say, curious, I found the opposite of what she was listening to, which just so happened to be West Coast hip hop. And it really showed me a different side of what hip hop had to offer, and more of a loving, caring, compassionate side, as opposed to a lot of up north, which was not drill rap yet, but it was pre-drill rap and pre-drug dealing rap, I guess you could say.
Right. So growing up though, what besides music, were you into sports or like what type of student were you? Like what was about you like tell me a little bit more about your childhood.
Sure, of course. Early, I was honestly troubled with the divorce and the split that I fought a lot in school. So I was getting kicked out, put in ISS, which at the time was in school suspension. Very rarely did I get out of school suspension because at the time they were trying to keep kids in school.
For sure.
So I was always dealing with the being in trouble and fighting and violence. And at the time, it got me to see a darker side of things early on that most kids don't really get involved in
Mm-hmm.
unless there's something going on internally or externally.
For
And
sure.
so I got to see a lot of the darker, what you would say, I guess, gang affiliated lifestyle, just from friends, just from people that I affiliated with at an early age. And I
Right.
was affiliating with people a lot older than me. So
Oh, I see.
it was a big age gap, and I really put myself in a place that I shouldn't have put myself in at that age, to where I had to struggle, or I had to do things out of my own element that a kid my age shouldn't have had to do.
Man, man. Now, I know you had mentioned, prior that, you had spent some time incarcerated. So what led to that? And
With the, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to ask what led up to that, and ultimately, how did you end up getting out of that ultimately?
Well, that's definitely the darker abyss of my story, I would like to say. But it also was the turning point of which I understood the value of life, the value of freedom, the value of, internal love, and the love from, family members, that's always there, no matter what, unconditionally. So a lot of that taught me that it was more valuable than the things I was looking for in life, that I was striving for at an early age. And it helped me change my perspective on the values that I had in life. But before that, leading up to that, at an early age, I wanted to rap. I saw the lifestyle, the glitz, the glamour, and the fashion. Um, a lot of uh, a lot of Wiz Khalifa, a lot of Kid Cudi, a lot of the more uplifting style musical rappers. Mac Miller, may he rest in peace. And those are the artists that drove me to try to create a style of music for people to feel comfortable relating to and getting out of their comfort zone even. So with that being said, when I was incarcerated, it was for being in that street mentality, being in that lifestyle of hustle and struggle, and do things out of my own means that really weren't necessary, if I would have invested in myself. So really that's the key here, is always invest in yourself, bet on yourself, and truly understand the value that you have as a person here on this planet. Because that's what it led me to do. I didn't know my own value, my own worth, and I put my own freedom in someone else's hands, while I was doing the things I was doing when I was incarcerated.
Wow, that's an incredible story. So was it ultimately the music that led you to, in your creativity, I might add, did that turned your whole life around while you were incarcerated and said, "Hey, when I get the heck out of here, I'm going to put all my focus and my energy into my creativity"?
A lot of that came from, I guess, maybe the fear of not being able to ever see my family again. Because the position I was in was a very dangerous one, to
Mm.
where I may have not gotten to see the light of day again. And most people in my position don't get a chance to see the light of day again. So when I was at that standpoint and crossroads in my life, it allowed me to realize, like, I had to make a change. And it wasn't just making a change in just the music, it was making a change in my everyday lifestyles, how I mentally thought, physically acted, and physically, kept myself up, and treated myself and treated those around me. Because I had noticed that, I had gotten into a way of just not treating people properly as I should, as I wanted myself to be treated. And then again, that put me in a position to not be treated properly, and I was incarcerated. So I learned from my mistakes, and I want others to be able to learn from those mistakes as well.
Okay. Now, how do you put the wheels in motion as far as becoming a recording artist? What were some of the moves that you had to make? Okay, you get out of jail, and now you're a free man. What are the things that you're putting in place to say, all right, let's do this. Let's get into this music.
A lot of it came from the creativity. I was on, probation. I was going through, drug offender felony probation, which is like some of the most harder ones to go through, where they have you on a strict time limit, where you have to be home and you have to always check in, and there's
Mm-hmm.
so many stipulations to it, they expect you to fail. So a lot of what I was doing was focusing on not failing, but while I was focusing on not failing, I was creating and writing some of the best music I had ever come to make. And that allowed me to see the beauty of what having freedom was. and not just having freedom, but being able to freely create under my own circumstances. And when I could do that and get into a mindset of positivity and uplifting, vibrations, it was able to show the people I was recording with it. I wasn't just rapping. I wasn't just creating hip hop music. I was creating a therapeutic form of healing through the
Right.
music I was making there in the studio.
Bingo. And I mean, a lot of people don't understand that are not in the creative space that the music is, whether it's writing, whether it's performing, that is therapy for a lot of us, because expressing ourselves creatively, it's such a freeing feeling. You know what I mean? Even me doing this podcast right now, the fact that I actually get to talk to talented individuals like yourself, it's freeing to me. You know what I mean? So I totally understand exactly what you're talking about in regards for being therapeutic in in writing and recording and producing and also performing. Now, let's talk about the first record you ever recorded. What was the name of it? Who helped produce it? Tell us about it.
Oh man. Um now I gotta ask, just to clarify this for myself. Are we talking about my first ever SoundCloud record, or are we talking about my first
Absolutely.
ever? Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Let's
not
talk about it.
so the first ever record was actually called YOLO. You Only Live Once. It was predated to Drake's YOLO. I can honestly say he took pieces of my song and used them for his own benefit, but that's neither here nor there. However, the first song was recorded by the engineer's name was Ricano, and it was a long time ago, man. I was about, say, 16 years old. Just started using my written material, which I had initially used for battle raps, to actually put on a mic. And it was crazy because I took the less hard stuff, the more melodic stuff, the more embracive in just something that would make you want to get up and do something. Like I wanted to put music out that wasn't angry, but I wanted it to have a message that would make people want to change or want to do something for the better.
This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. You mentioned something, and I really wanted to touch on it too: battle rapping. In your estimation, what's the difference between the art form of battle rapping versus being a recording artist? Explain that to the people.
A lot of the times it varies through crowds and knowing your listening crowd, like knowing your listeners, knowing who is clicking on your music, knowing who wants to hear your music, the age group. The analytics are super, super deep. And shout out to Radio Pushers, and working with everybody on the Radio Pushers team, I get to really dive into those analytics and know my listeners, know my crowd, and know how to organically grow that crowd in the right direction, using that sound and picking that sound properly for who I'm creating for. It's weird that you asked that too, because aside from constant creation in regular music here in Web 2, I also do a little bit of stuff there in Web 3, where I work with NFT projects, and I help to tender and create them their own special anthems. And I really put my all into those anthems, and it's crazy because they say that it doesn't sound like anthem music. It sounds like regular, pure, genuine hip hop.
Wow. That's something. So with battle, as far as battle rapping, I know you said about the different crowds, because I've seen some online. There's a battle rapper that I've paid attention to the last couple of years, especially the beginning of the pandemic. His name is Big K, and there was one in particular where he completely eviscerated this one guy. Man, I couldn't believe the research he did on him, and I mean that's his own art form in itself. So who
Oh yeah,
determined?
battle rapping. Oh yeah, battle rapping is a whole nother animal. When it comes to battle rapping, doing that as the first thing I did, I was 16 and I went to a battle rap with like 40 other kids in Vero Beach, Florida. And I think I finished probably like fourth, but it was such a unique experience that I had never even been in front of a crowd. I'd never actually rapped at somebody before. I'd always just prepared bars, and that was my initial initiation into battle rap was rapping in front of a huge crowd of people and really just going there with nothing prepared, no written material, and just freestyle battle rapping.
Mm-hmm.
Kids that already had things prepared. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. Now you also shed light on it too. NFTs. We've been seeing this acronym for the last maybe year. It's definitely come to light. Especially during the pandemic, where a lot of things a lot of things that were already developed were really coming to fruition. Now that everyone had time in their hands. So, how is music and NFTs going hand in hand? Since you have some experience in that.
I think that music and NFTs going hand in hand. It's really about the platform and giving independent artists, like myself and others, a chance to take advantage of their own marketing, take advantage of their own business standpoint, and really get a leg up on what it means to get mainstream marketing and media coverage. Because when you create these NFTs, they're getting highlighted and showcased forefront on these magazines and these huge platforms that normal artists like myself, independent artists, wouldn't have a chance to be on the cover or be on these showcases or even these speaker panels or whether it be artist showcases, speaker panels, or more. They're getting a different spotlight. They're getting more of a spotlight than you would in a regular Web 2 as opposed to Web 3 environment.
Yeah, because it's all tech mode now, and it's like I think it's more than ever where a lot of things in the tech world is being applied to everything, whether it's music, whether it's film, podcasting, whatever. So it's good to know that you were able to explain that in full detail. Now, you mentioned the SoundCloud stuff. Now let's talk about the stuff that you released on Apple Music, some of the main streaming platforms. So what was the first record that you released basically to the entire world on these main platforms? And
Definitely.
talk about it.
My very first record, the record that I literally branded myself with, I have the ink on my body to prove it. Spiritual is my message, my movement, and what I live and breathe for every single day. I wake up and I think spiritual because it's what carries me through my days. It's what carries me through my nights. Even in some of my darkest times, spiritual has kept me focused and kept me driven to help others. And really, that's my reason for being here on this planet. That's my reason for creating such a different, unique art form, is that I want people to be able to heal. I want to be able to help people that can't help themselves, and people that aren't able to reach out. I want them to know that they're not alone and that they're allowed to reach out, that we want to help them and we want our music to help uplift them out of whatever turmoil or darkness that they're in.
And I think that's a good way to approach it, because I've said this on other podcasts, whether it was me being interviewed or on some other podcasts that I've hosted. Shout out to Radio Pushers and allowing me to host their We Build Different podcast as well. You can check it out on all platforms too, in addition to this one. But mentioning, as far as we're not role models, but in a sense, if you're in a creative space, people are going to look to you and your content to put them in a better mood, right? So
Definitely.
if somebody's going through a bad day, they could turn on a record of an artist that they either may have heard of or someone that's mainstream or even independent artist, and they're saying, oh man, I really felt that and it made me feel a lot better. So I totally get exactly what you're saying. in regards to making that music that's going to put people in a much brighter mood and a much better space for sure. Now, how does your music fit into the realm of hip hop today?
Well, I really want to highlight an upcoming record for myself called Emotions.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I wanted to highlight that real quick, I know that might be jumping slightly ahead, but the reason I wanted to highlight that is because it's the emotion that is in all of these current hip hop artists' music, and the emotion is an emotion and a sign of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And we've all lost so many in this industry. We've all lost so many artists way too early, and some of our favorite artists we've lost. And right before our eyes, watching them come up, watching their rise, and then ultimately watching their demise. I want my music to give people a chance to heal, to give people a chance to step away from the violence, to step away from the death, and find the alternate route that is the light, that is the positivity, and that is the movement spiritual that I'm putting in place for everyone to help heal and help be a part of.
Now, and that's good, man, that you have that mindset, for that. Now, let's switch gears just a little bit. Obviously you said you're from the real, the Stuart, Florida area. You were talking about how has the fan base down in that area been receptive to you, Cris Cray, as the artist, the entrepreneur, everything else. How has that fan base been in receiving your music and your whole entire movement?
I would definitely say they're surprised and excited to have a chance to accept something new. I would also say that there was a lot of resistance for the first couple years.
Really? Resistance? Tell me about that.
It wasn't at the shows per se, like the crowd, just the response from the crowd wasn't really the energy level I was expecting, I guess I could say, but that's because I wasn't performing for the crowd that wanted me in front of them. I was performing at venues that weren't quite projecting or marketing these shows properly to have people to come out and want to heal. A lot of the people who were at these shows were looking to either do mosh pits or cause violence or do things of that nature, which right now it's a current trend. It is very popular to do a lot of the rock and roll, mosh out, just total violence and chaos, and that's a lot of what these underground shows are. However, I've allowed myself to rise above these underground shows, find shows that are looking for artists of the stature that I'm creating, a place for a movement and a place for people to come be free and feel that they're not alone. And people are starting to see that now. So whether they're in the chaos and they're being pulled from the chaos to my current shows, or they found me in the chaos and they followed me to the shows I'm at now, whatever the case is, I'm truly thankful. I applaud anybody that's a part of this spiritual movement that takes the time to help heal themselves and to help understand that you're worth it, that you are a huge value to everyone that knows you, that loves you, and we respect everything that you do here on this earth, and that's what this movement's for.
Now, and that was going to lead to my next question, which you've kind of answered it in a way, but does that give you inspiration while writing music?
I've gotten stories of people that have told me how my music's touched their heart or helped them heal, or they're currently going through chemotherapy and my music physically took away their pain. And I couldn't tell you the tears and the emotion that brings to a person when you hear that. But it's like, intentionally, I'm writing these songs to get my own turmoil out, my own frustrations, my own anxiety, depression, and PTSD through loss. I get all those things out through my own music and my own writing style. And so if I'm able to help someone in that type of standpoint through a song, I will never stop making music.
That's a good way to look at it, for sure. Now, in this business, obviously, there's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be, a lot of triumph. What are some of the ups and downs you've experienced just on the business end of your music career?
I would definitely say COVID definitely hit the business side of things a little bit hard. We lined up a lot of shows from 2018 and 2017 to be in that 2019 factor. And once COVID hit, a lot of those shows were canceled. A lot of those venues were unbooked and closed down. It really set things in a different priority, where we look to find other marketing tactics and we look to find other exposure avenues. And Web3 and NFTs just so happen to be one of those. So yeah, I would say that COVID was a bump in the road, but it only helped me to see other avenues and a perspective to open opportunities and doors that I didn't even know were there until the ones that I had open closed. So it was a win-win in my mind, because the shows that I didn't do in 2019, I did this year, and or 2022. And we put ourselves on the map 10 times harder than we would have in 2019. And it gave myself a chance to, I guess, see how I wanted to execute that plan.
Right. I view 2020 as the reset for so many people. That was the reset button. I think, and I think everyone also had to reevaluate how they were doing business and what other ways that was out there to do it. You know what I mean? And I think things got a little bit simplified in a sense where it's all about working smarter and not harder. Of course, we're going to work hard, but there is a smarter way to do this, you know? So I totally hear you that, there in regards to some of the things you went through during the pandemic and how it helped propel you to where you are today. Now, on that note, A-Rock's management, Alexa, she's obviously your go-to person as far as from the business perspective. So how did you two meet? Where did this all come to be? And how does A-Rock's management get you to where you are and where you're going?
And A-Rock says it's crazy because our story it's a lot lengthier than than we have time for on the podcast. But she's been in my corner for a lot longer than a lot of people have. But I've met her in elementary school, actually, and
wow.
in about fourth grade. So it was a very unique experience that we met so long ago, that we rekindled our relationship in our grown up years after our 20s. And for the last 5 to 6 years, we've been building not just our own personal foundation, but this wonderful business and this movement that's already helping so many people. And she creates chakra healing kits and hand makes these chakra bracelets to help with chakra alignment and crystal healing. And so it's so beautiful that she's able to help support myself and my movement in such a wonderful way. She does it not just in that way, but obviously all these wonderful connects. She helps get me into these amazing shows through Web3, through shout out to our buddy Scott. He's a celebrity boxer and also a promoting and a booking agent. He's got so many connects that we're able to get shows in Miami and all around Miami, including like the Vero and what was it, Palm Beach area as well. So there's so many areas we're able to get into now that it's given us this ramp to just take off and really make 2023 the big year.
Wow, that's incredible, man. And I mean, having a relationship that deep, going back to, to fourth grade, that's huge. And I mean, they say as we get older, that number of people that are in our corner, you could basically put them on one hand, right? So, and that's living proof right there. And the fact that, someone that knows you inside and out and can help you on the business side, where obviously you're the performer, you're the entertainer, and she's handling all of the business the business aspects of the Cris Cray brand. That's a beautiful thing. Speaking of which, where did the name Cris Cray come from? What was the origin of that?
So that's crazy. Cris Cray is my nickname. The reason they call me Cray is for my earlier days on stage, just some of the stuff that I did. I was always, as I had said before, the youngest one in the group, always getting into clubs, always getting into bars for shows at an early age that I definitely shouldn't have been in there doing what I was doing. However, that is all my friends were a lot of my friends that were my age. That's how they gave me that name. It was that I was a little too crazy for my own safety. And
Right.
at that time, I didn't realize the Cray brothers. They were actually the most infamous bank robbers to never be caught, and for their treasure to never be found.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
I used that same infamous, Cray name with my actual name, Chris, in the stage format of Cris, without an H, and then Cray being Cray. Cray is just really the symbolism of my alter ego. So you have myself, you have Chris, and then you have Cray. And Chris and Cray make the artist that I am today.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. What's your biggest fear, career-wise? What do you say the biggest fear you have
I would
going
definitely
into?
like to go back to the incarceration, and my biggest fear would be not being able to uh, inspire my family and my little brother and sister, and to inspire my friends who have believed in me since before I even thought about turning rap into a career, and to really show my family that their strength that they've given me has allowed me to reach a new amplitude. And so to not be able to have my family, to not be able to converse or see my family or connect with my loved ones. And when I say my family, I don't just mean those who are blood. I do mean close family, friends, close brothers, close people who have made those relationships eternal bonds that can't be broken. And to lose anyone that I have that connection with is my biggest fear.
Wow, wow, it's incredible. In your estimation, and this is just from your perspective, your own lens, in what ways do you think the hip hop genre has evolved over the years?
Well, I definitely think it's become a lot more versatile, and there's a lot more to hip hop than what initially instated hip hop. But I also like to think that that's a lot of marketing tactics and mainstream perspective that they put on movies and radio distribution and TVs and all that. It changed our perspective on what hip hop really was. And if you look back towards Africa Bambaataa, you look back towards some of the earlier times, hip hop was about love. It was about unity. It was about bringing people together through vibration and frequency. And I truly believe that where we're going now with hip hop after this transition from gangster rap and drug dealing rap and all the things that have really driven what current rap is now, that with drill rap even taking people's lives being a trend, we're changing that. We're not going to let that perspective alter or control what really is hip hop. And hip hop is love, hip hop is unity, hip hop is culture. And we can't forget that. We can't let that go astray.
For sure, for sure. Who's the most influential person in your life and how did they impact you?
Wow. That's actually I would have to say at this very, very moment, my mentor, I'm not gonna say his full name, but just his first name, Ken. He's my current mentor and has been my mentor for the better part of 5 to 6 years now, as long as I've been with A-Rocks working on this music. And he's always believed in me. He's helped me create my studio when I didn't have a studio to record or to work in. He really picked me up when I was at my lowest point and I wanted to give up on music, and he didn't give up on me. So I'll have to say that Ken is my Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. If I was Luke Skywalker, that dude right there has always had my back, and I'll never forget it, no matter how far I get.
And I was gonna lead you to my follow-up question on that is what was the best advice that could be, you say he is your mentor. What was the best piece of advice that he did give you?
Always bet on myself. Don't ever bet on nobody else to do it for me.
That's about as clear cut as it can actually get. Because at the
Yeah,
end of the
man.
day, man, you got to surround yourself with like-minded people, man. Because the worst thing you can ever have is dream crushers that are around you. Because sometimes people that claim they love you or claim they care about you, they want you to succeed, but they don't want you to do better than them.
And
So
in
it's super important to understand who's in your circle, who's really there for all the right reasons and to see you take things to the next level. You know what I mean? What are your
Definitely.
so what are your short-term and your long-term goals?
Short term is just hitting a nice platinum plaque, getting a couple nice good placements for my current music, and long term would be turning one or two platinum plaques into the enterprise and business that I believe Cris Cray music, spiritual, and what we've created on this side of the business would just be monumental for a lot of people and help a lot of people, heal a lot of people. So long-term goal is I want to heal as many lives as I can while I'm currently alive on this planet.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about any upcoming music projects and what's on the horizon for Cris Cray? Tell us some of the things that's coming up and what's on the rise for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. We got some cool stuff coming for you guys. I'm super excited. Just over this last winter, Christmas time, we dropped or not dropped. Sorry, we worked on a music video for the song "Third Eye." "Third Eye" is going to be the song I'm currently dropping a music video to for everyone to go check out. So same goes with that spiritual vibration, that movement. You got to open up your third eye. You got to be woke to it. You have to accept it. That's what this music video is all about. It takes you through that journey into the third eye, into my world, my dimension. Right after that, I have my my single, and it's going to be a huge song for everybody to listen to. It's called Emotions. I made a video in House of Hits studio not too long ago. It was such a beautiful record because the record was really inspired right there on the spot. I had a lot of already pre-written material that I had worked on before we got to Miami in
Right.
House of Hits studio, and I was able to put that to put the iron to the skillet. Really, it was like I had worked on it. I had never actually gotten on a mic and really put it to the test. And when we were in House of Hits studio, we worked on a record that just is mind blowing, and I cannot wait to distribute that record.
Awesome, man. I definitely look forward to that. I was actually down there in Miami at House of Hits Studios, rather, and that was an incredible time with Radio Pushers. So huge thanks to Jonathan P. Wright, huge thanks to Patience J, and the entire Radio Pushers team for the incredible music conference that we all attended. Really getting to network and getting to know each other. We all performed. It was an incredible experience. Now, where can people find you on social media, website, and where as far as where to find those links, merchandise, etc.?
Right now, everything's going to be right there at the official Cris Cray. If you look me up on Twitter, it's Cris Cray Music. But literally, you can Google us right there. CrisCray, Cris Cray. I'm the one and only. You'll see everything spiritual. You'll see the movement, all my pages, and every link that you need to click on will be right under that first page of Google. You can't miss it. And again, man, thank you so much, DTL, for having me on here. Man, shout out to your podcast. Shout out to Radio Pushers and Jonathan for that conference. I can honestly say it was one of the hugest milestones in my life, and to meet you there and to really get to know you from that right there point, and now to be on your podcast is just a beautiful full circle wrap up, and I'm so happy to be on here with you guys.
Well, again, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on my podcast. And like I said, I put this podcast away temporarily for almost 9 years. And, last summer I envisioned bringing this back. And, one of the things that I said is like, I really wanted to, put the shine on people like yourself, a lot of independent artists that are really, really good and they're really out there working hard. And I feel as though, hey, why not give them the opportunity? You know what I mean? And we can all build together for sure. Well, again, I look now that you've done an episode, you know what this means. You're a friend of the show for life. So again, the invitation is always open, for you to come back on the show anytime. And it's definitely it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on the D-Lew podcast.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Derrick.
All right, you got it.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew Podcast. I want to thank Cris Cray for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come on the show and give us his story and all that he's been doing with his music career. And as always, I wish him nothing but the absolute best in what he continues to do. Well, in regards to things that I have going on, April 21st and April 22nd, I want you to write the date down, guys. The promotion that I work for, one of the three promotions I work for, the SWF, has their big event of the year. It's a 2-night event, Mega Slam, okay? They're doing 2 nights, not just one, too big for just one night, so it's 2 nights, okay? So the first night is going to be at the Knights of Columbus in Richfield Park, New Jersey. Bell time is at 8 p.m. And also in Homedale, New Jersey, and the bell time for that event, and it's going to be a daytime show, that one's going to be at 3:30 p.m. All right, you can go to swfwrestling.com to order your tickets. Now, on night number 1, former WWE legend Savio Vega is going to be there. And night 2, not only is Savio Vega going to be there, but the man known as Mr. Kennedy is actually going to be in the house for Mega Slam night number 2 in Homedale, New Jersey. So it should be an exciting two days of pro wrestling action. You can see all the stars of the SWF, and of course you can see me do my ring announcer thing there. So make sure you get those tickets once again, swfwrestling.com. Now, in regards to my social media and everything, okay, remember, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube is at The Real D-Lew. Again, The Real D-Lew. Facebook is Derrick T. Lewis official page. Now, if you're listening to this podcast for the very first time, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, if it's on Spotify, if it's on Amazon Music, TuneIn, or whichever platform, or even iHeartRadio, whichever platform you're listening to, don't forget to hit subscribe, okay? So every time a new episode comes out, which is every Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, you'll be able to get brand new content, brand new episodes with brand new interviews, all right? You can go to my website, DerrickTLewis.com. You can also go to my hoodie and t-shirt store, shop.DerrickTLewis.com. Well, I'm going to get out of here, and like I always say, no matter what you do in life, always remember to make it count. Take care, guys.